Oh, jeez, Rick. Oh, season 3. Oh, jeez. I can't do Morty. So with Rick and Morty on the mind, I think it's time I've talked about one of the biggest fan theories out there. A lot of people seem to think that it's true, and I'm not gonna lie, there's a very high possibility that it is, but I have evidence that suggests otherwise that nobody brings up, so let's jump into it. The theory in question is known as the ticket theory and comes from a YouTuber called the Save Point Guild, who has a video in which he claims that we don't see the same Rick and Morty in every episode. For example, the Rick and Morty that we see in episode 203 aren't the same ones we see in 204, meaning that some episodes take place in a different universe than others. The evidence for this is at the end of 202, we see Rick loading some green rocks in the back of his ship, then in the beginning of 204, we see Rick throwing the same green rocks in the trash. The argument here is that these two episodes take place in a separate universe from the majority of the other episodes. Episode 204 is the only episode where Mr. Poopy Butthole appears, and we are led to believe that he is one of the parasites, but as it turns out he was actually real and has always been there. The audience knows that that isn't true, so the only explanation must be that this is a different universe. The theory is that Rick and Morty from episodes 202 and 204 are not C-137 Rick and Morty because of the ticket from the Jerry daycare in 202. In the beginning of the episode, when they're dropping off C-137 Jerry, the receptionist gives them a ticket with the number 5126 on it. Then at the end of the episode, when the Rick and Morty that we've presumably been following the entire episode go to pick up Jerry, a different pair of Rick and Morty ask if they have number 5126.
Hey, wait, do you have 5126? I'm not sure. Morty. That's a Blips and Chits ticket. What? Way to go, Morty. Whatever.
As we know, this means that this Rick and Morty must be from C-137, and that the Rick and Morty we've been following the whole episode is from the Mr. Poopy Butthole universe. However, this is where we start to get into semantics. In the show, we see that Rick often claims that he's from Earth Dimension C-137.
Listen, I'm Rick Sanchez from Earth Dimension C-137.
The problem here is that a dimension is drastically different from an alternate universe. Everyone here is likely familiar with the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. Heck, it's the foundation of Rick and Morty. But in case you're unfamiliar, the many worlds theory states that for every single minute detail that could possibly be changed from this universe, a new universe is created with only that minute change. For example, say you had the choice of 2 different breakfast cereals. If you chose the Cocoa Puffs, you've just created an entirely new universe where the only difference is that you chose the Lucky Charms. This would continue on infinitely for every single possible change for everyone on Earth and probably everything in the universe. A dimension, on the other hand, is basically a plane of existence. For example, we technically live in a 4th-dimensional plane. We have 4 dimensions: length, height, depth, and time. Think of geometry. Volume is equal to length times width times height. 3 dimensions. These are the 3 dimensions that we perceive as well as time. To put it simply, universes are separated by dimensional barriers. This means that only universes with the same dimensional parameters can interact with each other. So the Ricks and Mortys that perceive length, width, height, and time can only interact with other Ricks and Mortys that perceive things the same way. This would actually make sense that multiple Ricks would be from dimension C-137, but not from the same universe. If we think about it, this Rick, that Rick, heck, probably most of the Ricks, the Citadel of Ricks, are considered C-137 because they perceive the same dimensional parameters. Universes likely have different codes from dimensions, as we see with Doofus Rick in 110. Doofus Rick refers to himself as Rick J19 Zeta 7, to which the other Rick responds with,
Is that the timeline where everybody eats poop?
Alternate timelines are essentially the same as alternate universes, i.e. Flashpoint, so Doofus Rick would be considered from Universe J19 Zeta 7, but Dimension C-137. The reason the Council of Ricks refers to our Rick as C-137 is because he's jumped so many universes that he doesn't know which universe he's originally from, as our Rick denounces the Council, so he likely never kept track. This is why the Rick we know is from a different universe than the Morty we know, who is in turn from a different universe than the rest of the family that we currently know, but they still consider themselves C-137. It's been established that Rick is from a different universe than Morty. We know that Rick left Beth 20 years ago, yet Rick has memories of Morty as a baby, but Morty is only 14. How could Rick have held Morty as a baby if he wasn't around at that time? It's because this Rick is from another universe. It's obviously not his first rodeo either, as he kills himself in a different universe and takes his place with no issue in 106, which is the current universe that most episodes take place in. This is how even though Rick has jumped multiple universes and still claims to be from C-137, Morty still claims to be from C-137 after 106, even though Rick has jumped multiple universes before Morty ever did. It's because C-137 is a code for the 4th dimension that only other Ricks and Mortys can understand. For further evidence of this, let's look to the Rick and Morty comic series. The Rick in the comics is referred to as Dimension C-132. This supports my codes for dimensions theory because Rick in the comics doesn't believe in time travel, while our Rick believes in it and has likely done it, as seen by the box labeled time travel stuff. The fact that C-132 Rick doesn't believe in time travel is evidence that he doesn't perceive time the same way as everyone else, so he likely lives in a third-dimensional plane. Ooh, you thought that was complicated? Just wait till you see what we talk about next. You know how I said that only the Ricks and Morty that are considered Dimension C-137 can interact with each other? Well, that technically isn't true. The Rick that we follow throughout most episodes isn't a fourth-dimensional being, he's actually a ninth-dimensional being. So to break down the dimensions even further, there are actually believed to be 10 dimensions. Though some scientific interpretations suggest otherwise, we'll just stick with the 10. So the 10 dimensions are the first 4 we stated earlier, length, height, depth, and time, as well as a single parallel universe, a plane of parallel universes with the same starting conditions, a plane of parallel universes with different starting conditions, a plane of infinite parallel universes all with different starting conditions, a plane of all possible universes with all possible starting conditions and different laws of physics, and 10 infinite possibilities. The one we're focusing on here is the 9th dimension, a plane of all possible universes with all possible starting conditions and different laws of physics. Now Rick technically exists on the 4th dimensional plane, aka the one we live in, and can physically perceive. When Rick invented his portal gun, he was able to break the dimensional barriers and travel to different universes that defy the laws of physics that are established here on our Earth, breaking the 9th dimension and in turn becoming a 9th dimensional being. A good example of this is in episode 110, where Rick and Morty end up in universes where pizza and people are switched, or where chairs are people, people are chairs, phones are food, and food is phones. These obviously defy the laws of physics that we understand in our reality, but if Rick was able to travel through dimensions, then he could end up in a universe with dimensional parameters that allow stuff like this to exist. The universe where people and pizza are switched is an example of a universe that exists in the 9th dimension, as it has different starting conditions from our Earth and has different laws of physics. Rick isn't quite a 10th dimensional being because he is able to limit himself. As the Save Point Guild states in his video, Rick is likely to filter through universes that has what he's looking for. He likely has some sort of setting on his portal gun that prevents him from ending up in universes that would kill him instantly, such as an Earth with no oxygen, for example, or universes that are too similar to his own, such as the serial example from earlier. If he randomly shot out a portal, like he does multiple times in 110, then this setting would prevent him from accidentally killing himself. C-137 Rick seems to be the only Rick who messes around in other dimensions, which perhaps explains why he's wanted by the galactic government. As we see in 301, the bug people are infiltrating Rick's mind in order to find out how his portal gun works, likely to use it for similar purposes as Rick, to get stuff that they otherwise can't obtain. That, and it's probably illegal to do such a thing. The Council of Ricks probably restrict interdimensional travel, as we see Ricks and Mortys that clearly derive from different starting circumstances, such as people evolving into hammer people, yet they don't really do much but sit around the Citadel of Ricks. They seem to only go to other dimensions if they need to, such as in 110 when they're chasing our Rick and Morty through other dimensions in the 9th dimensional plane. I know that this video is probably very confusing and all over the place in terms of pacing, but there is really no easy way to talk about multiple dimensions and parallel universes. I'm no quantum physicist, so I probably got a thing or two wrong in this video, so if you notice a glaring hole in this, please be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. My name is Matt, aka Chunky Monkey Games, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Oh, jeez, Rick. Oh, season 3's out. Oh, man, it's the end card. We gotta hold do the meme for 20 seconds, cause that's all that YouTube allows now. Oh, jeez, Rick. Oh, the acorns. Oh.